Welcome back. Yes, we are a day late for the twin flame joint connection, but nevertheless, we are here. Very separately, out now, we do have the additions out for the twin flame path online, and we do have the super chats that are hosted via the YouTube membership. Without further ado, we will get into the read, and I have sat here briefly and had a look at it, particularly the energy from a psychic perspective. It has almost been almost like the calm before the storm, but it definitely has felt as though there has been a little bit of a hold up with divine masculine and a lot of integration really going on with divine feminine. There is a bit of a contradiction coming through with divine feminine's card, and you'll understand what I mean when I get into it. Now, it's funny because whenever I do get a card that is coming through blurred, I almost feel spiritually it has a double whammy meaning. Now, this energy coming through with the joint connection, it is fair surrounding value systems. So there's blurred lines. It could be something to do with, it can be self-worth energy, and it is coming up in the joint connection. Self-esteem really within the connection can be a little bit shaky at the moment, especially as we're moving through a transition into new chapters. There are some things really that we are trying to deal with the give and take within the connection. And I feel spiritually there could be a blockage that is occurring on one side or the other where it does come to finances. Now, looking to the past, I'm seeing that, for both parties here, they were releasing some subjects, and that particularly, especially because I do cover the astrology, it could be as we were moving through Pluto in Capricorn, moving into Pluto in Aquarius, that these old chapters really wrapping up. And I do particularly feel it may come back again to a degree this year as it does transition back into the house of Capricorn. But even for me personally as a twin, I have found that old Capricorn energy at the 29-degree point was bringing a lot of karmic situations back to the forefront. Definitely you can have some things surrounding your family and home going on. You could feel very much like you're a circus act, you're juggling things. And there were a lot of things spiritually that both divine feminine and divine masculine were releasing. So especially because this card does drop down to a 4 in the past position, there could have been a lot of things that you within your inner child were releasing, the confidence within the factor, feeling safe within it. And spiritually, for some of you, it could have felt as though you needed to leave this situation behind. It just was not merging. A lot of times we do have that happen when we're integrating and we're going to a new level, and we directly feel as though we've learnt something new in the cycle of the twin flame path, and there are the can-dos and the can't-dos. And it is very, it's very normal to get to a standpoint where you say, look, I've gone to this next level. There's particular things I simply can't do. And you could be really viewing it in a different light at this point in time. I do feel situation is wrapping up. I also do feel for some of you, there could have been, a huge leap forward and then a retreat back. And they're actually making reference to that point, and they're saying there was some unfinished business that needed addressing. It did bring about a purgatory effect within divine feminine, but it does feel it's coming to the forefront again. And I do feel there is some physical movement coming. The high heart chakra, especially this week, is really going to be activated as we do move to the full moon in Virgo. So be aware of that. We also can be taking in some energy of the next eclipse. So mid-month, we definitely can start to feel that. So it is going to be a double whammy for us, but definitely it can be heart chakra. And it's going to be, we could spiritually feel very strict that we're making very definite decisions in the mix of the twin flame path. I also feel what you're really wanting from this connection, I think both parties are really desiring this, is an openness to be able to pour your heart out, to be able to express exactly how you're feeling, and, to actually feel quite cherished and safe. So the heart chakra can be really protective at the moment. And I do see the crossing over of it, especially where it relates to your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations. You can be very protective of yourself at this point in time. I also do feel divine masculine, regardless of how it stands at this point in time. I feel that they're really looking at this connection and feeling it's worth protecting. Um, this is a revelation that divine masculine is having, that they do feel they need to go into this connection and to really nurture it and to show protection and gratitude for it. The concern I feel that both parties are having is being sidetracked in some shape or form, and that a decision needs to be made in a very logical manner and a very cautious manner, relating to the circumstances surrounding your individual twin flame path. There is a complexity to this situation for some of you. Some of you also you may very well know what that complex situation is. And they're making reference to the point that within a cycle, within the dynamic between both worlds merging here, there is a complex situation that is needing to be addressed. The good thing is it is actually being addressed head on. And for some of you, this can be something that is really popping off in the next 2 months where it's coming to a head, especially if this has been something that has been really lagging. A complex decision, the need to do research, stop procrastinating. And it's funny because the Libra eclipse can be a total ending. It's very final. It's very, look, this is the way we need to go. This is what we're doing. It can also be to do, I would say, with how we emotionally are feeling. So I do directly feel there is going to be an intellectual thought process and a heart chakra activation that is coming through with the joint connection with the twin flame path. And I do psychically believe that divine feminine is going to pick up on this. Some of you also through the ethers could have been dreaming about ancestors that have passed over. That most definitely has been happening with me most recently at a very large level. I do see the connection again. It's almost like I'm feeling that your guides are actually working with both parties here, even if there is a reluctance, and a lot of you can be feeling, look, I really need to let this go. For some reason, I almost feel there's an acceleration of this path, and I do feel there could be, for some of you, bumping into this individual. Spiritually, you can be feeling, look, I'm not really ready. There's been so much time in between. There's been a crossing of the paths or a crossing of boundaries. I feel that although a decision may be on both sides of the fence, there is a reluctance. I'm also feeling that divine intervention is at play here, which does mean it can be coming regardless of maybe us feeling ready, but it is divinely guided, and there will be a circumstance to do with the conundrum that you're currently dealing with, to do with the blockage in the path, because there is indecision here, but I think it's because there's cross wires. And a very complex situation that's being directly dealt with at this point in time. Again, I do feel this week is going to be one where we are going to need to be quite objective. I feel the Virgo moon is going to bring about critical energy. We may need to listen more. We may need to ask more questions. We may need to sit and journal and actually get to the root cause of some of these things. We could actually find some clues. We also could be getting the signs and synchronicities. But from an intellectual point of view, you can find that you're going to be more critical towards yourself, really looking at the devil in the detail. But I do feel some light bulb moments coming. I also feel both masculine and feminine are really needing to nurture their bodies at this point in time, and to care for their wellness. And I feel that's really going to aid you with the future movement. Universe is saying that it may be necessary for you and for divine masculine in some shape or form to have that autonomy. They're suggesting that the relationship is going to be different. They're suggesting that the style of connection this is going to be within union is going to be one in which both parties are working together, as well as also feeling quite independent. But it is going to be a different way of relating. And I do feel because of karmic partnerships, that we can tend to experience within the connection, and especially moving into this phase for the first wavers, you do tend to find that you don't want to repeat those patterns. And so it's less karmic in nature as you do move into it. And spiritually, what I'm seeing is divine feminine is being very assertive. Divine feminine is being extremely independent. This is actually motivating divine masculine, and it's actually attracting them quite a lot. They're actually looking at you almost inspired that if you can do it, they can do it. And sometimes they feel very unworthy of it. They feel very unworthy of how you are able to move mountains. Although many of you could really be feeling at this point in time, you just don't want to move any more mountains. Okay, this person's really wary. This person really does want the unity. This person does stay up at night thinking about it. It's almost like their day is extremely busy and they do mull over it. Ironically enough, there could be how would I explain it? With the changes that are happening, some of you can be seeing the fives. I'm noticing the 5 on the card, where it does come to the unity, consciousness and the direct connection. There is a possibility that the traditional element of things, that they're making a very strong point of me mentioning this. For some of you, you could be looking in at your twin within a karmic relationship or within their behavioral patterns, and you can be looking at them thinking, can they be traditional? Some of them have gone to extremities with such. Some of them, again, with this very complex decision that needs to be addressed. They could be coming to this, but they're actually saying this is going to be a very positive thing. This is going to have a positive outcome. But they also feel spiritually that the unity that they're wanting to have with you is one that they are wanting to bring tradition to you. They're wanting to bring chivalry back and to give you, everything that you were really deserving of. I do directly feel that that's how they're feeling. For some of them, they can find that their attention is very firmly on work and they're realizing this is causing an imbalance. This can be causing them to avoid subjects that are really more important at this point in time. It's almost like that element of avoidance. And I do feel within connections, divine masculine is really stepping back at this point in time and feeling as though they are needing to really address the elephant in the room. I feel both parties at the moment are feeling like their soul is not being fed. This can be within the connection. It also can be those of you that are in communication. I do feel also whatever apprehension there is, especially in the communication factor, it's almost like both parties are feeling it's taking a great deal of effort. It's, the communication factor is very difficult. They're also saying to really prepare your bodies for your ascension process over the next 4 weeks. That like I said, I really do believe there's going to be an acceleration. So this sort of feels like they're showing me an entry into a hotel. It's the foyer. So we're in the foyer at this point in time, and we're having these downloads, we're having these transformations, we're meditating upon what we can and can't do. We're reviewing the status quo of the connection, where we've been, where we're going. You could even go to the pits of despair at points where you're really, really feeling as though, gosh, how far have I come, but how far do I have to go? And there can be some flashbacks that you're experiencing, and it can cause a little bit of angst. But what they're referencing here is it is extremely important to try and get some balance in your life, to do the very best you can and to prepare yourself. And they're making reference to next month as a very, very key, important time and huge breakthroughs. But I do feel this week is really quite critical in that component. Yeah, they're definitely saying this is very temporary. Whatever is going on here spiritually right now within the joint connection, it's extremely temporary. And there is going to be a shift with it that is going to occur very quickly. Now, as we do look to divine feminine, so let's go down the rabbit hole with this. The first thing I was noticing is this is really the Queen of Fire, confident, warm, intellectual, and grace. The first download I got was, for some of you, you could be spiritually, although naturally, and I do feel some of you could be criticizing yourself at this point in time. Sometimes our self-esteem is knocked because of the way we're treated within the dynamic, because of the things we've gone through. And you may not feel so powerful. You may feel the power is out of your hands. You also may feel as though, how could I term it, that you don't feel as confident within the connection. But they're really making reference to the point sometimes this comes flat out down to fatigue and ascension. They're mentioning the reference of the courage to be, to slight, to do the things that you need to do, to not really question that, and to not feel that that's going to block your path. If there's something urgent that you feel you need to address or you need to do, forgive yourself and do it. But they're also making a very, very strong reference to not underestimate yourself within the connection, or your status of who you are, or how powerful you are. You are going through a very radical ascension process. This is an upgrade. You could feel at times that your energy is almost very masculine. High cosmic journey. Yeah, you could really feel as though your energy is extremely masculine. That's because you could be using a lot of energy in the 3D and really needing to meditate. But they are making reference to the point that they are very, very attracted to you. And although your soul may feel you don't want to proceed, you don't want to continue, there's a lot of worries that, the collective does have. They're really making reference to the point that you were born at this point in time. You were brought into this world for a given reason. You have a very important path. And to please not underestimate that. It's okay to cry. It's okay to take a moment and to say, look, I'm overwhelmed. You're a human being having a spiritual experience. But it's okay to honor your body and your feelings of how you're feeling at this point in time. But universe is also saying to you and your guides, please do not underestimate yourself. You're powerful. You're more powerful than you know. Even though 9 times out of 10, when we're feeling quite crappy, we really don't want to be powerful. You've tried to work with individuals. You've tried to work with the process. Again, I do see some subjects coming up for those of you that have children, those of you with your creative processes. It's almost like some of those things might have had to have gone on the back burner. Some of you could be deeply frustrated that you just can't get your ducks in a row, that you just can't get life in a row. Some of you also may have had a circumstance between you and children within the joint connection. I just keep hearing the term you tried. You did your best. You tried. You do empathize. You do understand. You've walked a mile in their shoes in some shape or form. You may have heard something within the last 3 weeks that really rung true to you. And deep down inside, you do know that you have done the very best you can. You do understand where they're coming from. Again, I do get the reference communication. Your creativity, though, if you have felt quite lulled, like I said, I really do feel we need to be very gentle with ourselves. There are some bold opportunities coming our way within our own individual lives as well as within the joint connection. And I see a lot of downloads that are going to come in the next 2 weeks. I also see a radical shift, and it's going to accelerate. Now, as to creativity and launches, for some reason, it's almost like if you can put less pressure on yourself, but sort of get things done behind the scenes, keeping your cards close to your chest, having an outlet spiritually, which is really going to aid you, going back to some creativity, going back to, nurturing, journaling, you know, gardening, whatever that is, they're actually saying it's going to help harmonize you, because there's an imbalance spiritually within your energy at the moment, where it could be too masculine or too feminine. But for some of you, they're really directly making a reference to the point that you may need to nurture yourself and to tap into that creativity. With the frustration, be it it's with work, be it it's with the thought process, is almost like a lot of what you're needing to do has been on the back burner and you just want to blow a gasket. Please do understand it's going to dissipate. It can feel like a challenge, but it is going to dissipate. It's going to calm down. Heart chakra again. You could really be in your heads at this point in time. You could have moments of great despair and sadness that wave over you. They're saying just pause for a moment. Just be really gentle with yourself. It's okay to have these feelings. It doesn't mean you're going to have these feelings forever. Many of you can get to a state where you're being very strict on yourself and there's this urgency almost. And again, you know, the Eight of Water is really talking about the desire to move on, the search for something more meaningful, spiritual, and emotional growth. I remember thinking back on my path, you know, like naturally Omar Sharif, Kevin Costner, or Brad Pitt was going to fall from the sky. And I would be very strict with myself that I needed to get my life together and I should just, you know, drop the ball and keep going. But really, we were moving forward spiritually, especially for those of you that have been with us for a very long time. I was moving forward. I was just putting a lot of pressure on myself and I was experiencing that pressure point and that frustration. I would err on the side of caution at this point in time, because we do have Pluto making aspects to Venus at this point in time. You could have somebody that's going to come in like a bat out of hell and charm the pants off you, but it can be very Plutonian because it is making a conjunction. So I was listening to this wonderful podcast the other day, and he absolutely cracks me up. And he was saying, you know, the element of it, which I totally agreed with him with what was being said, is almost like you meet someone and you got, you know, the flames and the chemistry, but, you know, they could be a criminal. And that's not to say we don't have these circumstances happening in Twin Flame Path. You know, we are human beings after all. So we will get all sorts of situations because they are there to teach us and ascend us. So what I am seeing, the movement, many feminines are feeling very frustrated. You want movement, you're frustrated, you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself. I do think it does have a lot to do with the moon. We do go down to the next throne at a foundation level. We have the moon. Not only do we have the moon in Virgo coming, but we're going to start getting the shadow effect of this eclipse. And it is going to be really, really relating to connections and relationships. Okay, so we psychically are always ahead. You also will directly be impacted by the transits. It's almost like you're channeling the transits as you move through. That's the reason I studied astrology. Psychically, you're going to be having a higher intellectual consciousness, but the only way you can actually get those downloads is to remove the ego. Deciphering between such could be a little bit difficult. If you're very fatigued, you may get the downloads more so, but if you're emotionally up and down, you may not get that as clear. So I would journal down whatever those downloads are, and I would come back to it. The one animal totem I was really seeing this week were both, well, it's two actually. It was a lot of bees. Really, again, it can signify tribe, but it also can signify love and finding your passion, which will keep you sane. As well as dragonfly totem. Now, dragonfly totem does signify that there's going to be a radical shift and it's going to be very quick. And we go back to the crowning energy for divine feminine. It's really saying don't underestimate yourself here. Whatever is coming, whatever those changes are, whatever is happening, you do have this in the bag. You are able to handle it, whatever that be. Yeah, this is really a new chapter that you're moving into at this point in time. And again, it's renewal. And I find this to be extremely positive. The joint connection, there's a lot of confusion between the both of yous. Is that remaining? No, it's very natural. We're in the waiting room going into a new chapter. This is February. We're in a waiting room. We're getting the intellectual downloads coming. This is a heart chakra activation. A lot of times, from a manifestation point of view, when you are trying to connect to your twin, there are different techniques you can directly use to usher it in. When you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are going to be with that person, they literally will come in. When you are in the total detachment phase, they literally will contact you. But generally, when we're going through a purgatory cycle, it's almost like both parties are put in the naughty corner at a very temporary level. Once we integrate and we moved into maybe disillusionment, that's how we can get into detachment. And we detach and we're focusing on creativity, which is the advice here in the reading, and doing things that are pleasurous and, nurturing ourselves, getting our energy levels up. We do have communication. The other thing is spiritually, if both parties are getting very tired, which I'm physically seeing that coming through in the reading, generally you can't get your energy from other people, only from the joint connection. And so generally you guys will be thrown together for a reconnection in some shape or form, and it actually does recharge your batteries, ironically enough. Now, masculine here in the mix. What they're really desiring, first and foremost, was to have a happy life. And I think it's very nostalgic here. It's like, wishful thinking, wanting those things, but maybe not receiving such. If there is the emu, okay, some of you might not get that analogy. If this person is putting their head in the sand and they're trying to tell themselves that something is smelling like roses when it's the metaphorical doo-doo, this next 3 weeks will show the truth. Pluto also can be putting a pressure point on the circumstance, but they also can be having some dreams. Some of them can be having some psychic downloads, wishing they could turn time back so that they could have everything together. The other thing is, for some of them, I'm noticing back to the joint connection here, there was a reference point made that there's a complex decision to be made. So for some of you, if there were maybe tribe and children involved, they're like, how do we merge this? And they're trying to have that big picture. They're meditating upon it. They had this ideal of how things were going to come together, which many divine feminines through their ascension process have had such, and they had to learn in certain ways difficult things of towers. I'm seeing divine masculine here really realizing that they've given too much to a situation. A decision has to be made. But instead of getting angry about it, they might need to broach the subject in a different manner. They also are making reference to the point they're pussyfooted around a circumstance, maybe coloured it with rose-coloured glasses. I do think these individuals are making long-term plans. I do think they're looking, there could be, again, this entanglement could entail finances. And definitely they've already realised this within the joint connection. This is becoming problematic for the joint connection. Not only because if that was something they were really holding on to because they were trying to clean up shop, they're also looking to the future with the connection with you and what they're bringing with them. But they're almost noticing an obsessiveness to do with this, and they're finding it to be very imbalanced. There could be a new opportunity coming for divine masculine that is going to create some positivity. And it's almost like they feel they want to change their whole life. Some of them are going to maybe get into a new position, but then realize that, oh my gosh, all I'm doing is, painting the room a different color, but my life is the same. This individual's excited. It's almost like they're going to have a breakthrough. I definitely feel they're going to have a breakthrough. I'm looking at the foundation here, and it's almost like they're on the move. Things are going. Something's going in their favor. Okay, what's hidden here, please? Let's take a look what's hidden. I just get this feeling there's a friggin' tower about to happen. I'm going to pull a tarot card on this. I just get this distinct feeling they're not seeing something. The hay for the clouds. I definitely feel there's a left and right here. I feel there's a pause before the storm. I can see a complex decision needing to be made. I feel divine feminine pulling away, although she could be having some dreams, and I shouldn't say she, because the feminine energy can be held by either one. I do feel some justice is going in divine feminine's favour. This individual over here is really looking at you in a very positive light, but it's very daydreamy. Yeah, very daydreamy. Okay, what's hidden from divine masculine place? Having to make the right choice. Having to be mature with it. There could be individuals that are impacted by this. Yeah, there's a conflict of interest here. Okay, how is this going to play out between now and the eclipse, please? We will check back in with this again, but really they're asking me to ask this. Yeah, there could be a bit of a blow up here. I think this individual's going to get a bit of a surprise, but I do see some luck here. I do see a breakthrough. They have a great deal of trust for you. I feel that they're wanting to communicate. I feel that they're wanting to make reference to the point that they trust you and that they value you deeply. That they were going about this in the wrong way. They've thought about this quite obsessively lately. Yeah, lots of regrets there. Okay. What do we need to know for those that are in a karmic relationship, please? Because I just get this sneaking feeling. It feels yucky. There's some crap that's going to go down. They're so daydreamy about you at the moment. Oh. Well, that's good. Okay, we've got the devil card in reverse here. It's like purging the karmic out. Seeing them for who they really are. I don't know. This one's got something up their sleeve. I feel divine masculine here has something up their sleeve. There's an excerpt that I think they're doing this ethically as well. But I just feel this is a learnt lesson. I feel these individuals really between now and the eclipse, there's a big revelation. There's a big change. I do feel for those that do have their head in the sand, it could be a revelation after a tower, but I definitely feel the outcome is motivating them in the correct direction. And it's almost like they're going to have whole focus. It's going to be so direct, so motivated. I also feel a jealousy piping up in them when they are looking at you at this point in time, because I do feel divine feminine pulling back. And I do get that because of that, it's almost causing a shift within this. I do feel for some they were trying to cause jealousy within you, but I feel this is third wavers. I don't feel this is first wavers. Not those of you that have been on the journey a long time. I feel those are individuals further back in the path. Okay, any last messages for the Twin Flame Collective? I definitely would make sure that you do listen to your side, Divine Feminine, because they've really got some key advice there for you. Some opportunities are going to be coming your way. They're asking you to deal with this with grace, even though you might want to pop a gizzard. Okay, last messages for the joint connection. Now, like I said, there was blurred energy where it did come to the confidence, not knowing what way to go, how to deal with this, whether to trust it, whether to proceed forward, like we're in the waiting room. Okay, any more information on this complex decision, please? Okay, this is, yeah, Divine Feminine's really looking at it like it's a no-brainer. It's like, look, make up your mind. Make up your mind. Do what you need to do. I call it amputate. You know, it's like, look, if it's not working, it's time. Yeah, there's a lot of conflict. For those that are in a karmic cycle, if there is a crossroad, this is doing you a favor. It's giving you time to rebuild. But it's also pushing this person back into the situation in some shape or form intellectually, I feel. That is impacting them. For some, it can just be that they're reflecting back on it, that there's no karmic. I'm hearing the term cruel to be kind. That's random. I can't wait to see next week's edition for the karmic third party, because I just get this feeling that something's about to pop off. But it is causing a cut in this. It is liberating divine masculine in some shape or form. For some that have been in their ego, it almost feels like it's popping their bubble. And by no means, you know, it's not like I'm like, ha, ha, ha. No, it's not feeling like that. It really feels it's a surprise for this person. It's like a revelation, a wake-up call. No, I've had enough. I'm going my own way. I'm honouring my heart. I'm honouring what I want to do. I've done the very best I can. I really feel for some of you, you're going to have a visit at the door. And this can be the person really pouring their guts out, explaining, and maybe even giving an apology. It's so random. It's almost like you're just not expecting it. I will love you and leave you. The next editions for the members had been a bit delayed. I will be doing it tomorrow. It's okay, honey. I was channeling. I didn't even see it. I will be doing the updates. Already the members are still ahead. So if you did want to join the members, you can see the content. I had to schedule everything, upload everything. Separately, the super chats at the moment are within the members. So if you do want to join the sessions, they are scheduled. Come through. Later, we will get new content coming through. I'm having a bit of a transition in the home factor at the moment, getting things organized. So it has delayed some circumstances, but yes, new content will be coming. If you are joining the membership, or we have one level now, we also have the coaching, which last night I jumped on. I had a chat. I think we were on there for about an hour. I don't know how long the video was. Maybe some of you that are members can mention. But definitely we talked all the way down to zodiac signs, astrology, ascension, you know, tips for your union. For those of you that don't know, yes, I've been in union now over 5 years. I've also married my twin. The journey itself is always continuing. It's never that we've made it. We're all on this journey of growth. And so the experience I share is very much coming from that perspective. And definitely I give the individuals updates about, some of those tedious things that we're all collectively going through, regardless of union or no union. Take care. I hope to see you soon. And if you do like content like this and want regular updates weekly, come through and join and subscribe.